Ever get that feeling like the universe is, trying to tell you something? Like maybe you keep seeing the same numbers everywhere, or there's just this series of weird coincidences that just make you wonder.
Mm.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today in our deep dive.
Oh, exciting.
We'll be looking at how the universe communicates, insights on spiritual messages to kind of unpack that whole idea. And we're going beyond just the basics. We'll explore how these messages might be, showing up in your life right now. And also how to actually get better at tuning into them.
I think what's so fascinating about this is that this idea that the universe is trying to communicate with us. It's not just some new age thing, you know? Humans have been searching for meaning and connection in nature and dreams and all sorts of stuff really for centuries. I mean, it feels like it's just a fundamental part of being human.
Totally. So let's say the universe is sending us messages, right?
Yeah.
How does it even work? Is it like getting a text from the cosmos or something?
I wish it'd be a lot easier, right?
Right.
But but no, the universe has a more subtle way of talking to us. Um, it's more about energy and symbols. You know, think about those times when you randomly think of someone and then boom, they call you like 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
Or when you just keep seeing the same number sequences popping up everywhere, like those synchronicities, they kind of make you stop and think, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. They're hard to ignore.
Yeah.
But it's not always those big in-your-face coincidences. I mean, sometimes I've noticed it's the little things that catch my attention. Like a song lyric that just nails exactly what I'm feeling, or even a random conversation I overhear that gives me a new perspective on things.
Oh, absolutely. It's like the universe is constantly whispering to us, you know, offering guidance and support, but it does it through these seemingly ordinary moments. So to really understand those whispers, we have to tune in to our intuition, which I think a lot of people think it's just a feeling, but it's actually a much deeper kind of knowing. It's like a connection to something beyond just our conscious minds.
Right? Is that gut feeling? Okay.
Yeah.
But how do we know if it's really our intuition or if we're just, making stuff up?
It's a really good question because sometimes it can be tricky, and that's where critical thinking comes in. You don't have to just blindly accept everything as a sign from the universe. Instead, think of these signs as invitations to pause, you know, reflect and connect the dots in your own life.
So it's not about like becoming a fortune teller or
Oh,
anything.
no, 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 not at all. I like to think of it more like becoming a detective of your own spiritual journey. The universe gives us these clues, and then it's our job to piece them together using both our intuition and our critical thinking.
I like that. That makes it feel a lot less intimidating and a lot more like a fun adventure.
Hmm.
Okay, so I know our source mentions a lot of common spiritual signs, things like repeating numbers and animal messengers. Uh, let's start with those repeating numbers. I feel like everyone's seen like 111 or 444 everywhere at some
Yeah.
point,
Oh,
right?
yeah, all the time. They're often called angel numbers, and there are all sorts of interpretations, but generally they point to specific themes.
Okay, so say you're seeing 111 everywhere. Does that mean you're about to win the lottery?
Well, maybe, but more likely it's a sign of new beginnings. Are you thinking about changing careers or starting a new project? You might be seeing a 111 because the universe is giving you a nudge towards a fresh start in some area of your life.
Hmm, interesting. And what about 444? I've heard that one's about protection.
Yeah, it can be. Seeing 444 can be really reassuring, especially if you're going through a tough time. It's like a reminder that you're not alone and that you've got support, both from the universe and from your own inner wisdom.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a little better about all the 444s I've been seeing lately. Phew. But but it's not just numbers, right? The source also talks about animals as messengers, like butterflies, for example.
Yes, butterflies are powerful symbols of transformation and growth. I mean, they go through a complete metamorphosis. So
Well,
they're perfect representations of personal and spiritual evolution. You know, if you're seeing butterflies a lot, it could mean that you're in a time of big change or that you're ready to embrace a new phase of your life.
hmm, that's beautiful. It makes me think of that saying, just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it became a butterfly.
Exactly.
Mm,
And just like the caterpillar, we often have to go through periods of darkness and struggle before we can emerge into something new and beautiful.
I love that. And speaking of wise creatures, what about owls? I
Yeah.
feel like they've always had this mysterious, almost magical quality.
Owls are so fascinating. They're usually associated with wisdom, intuition, and the ability to see clearly, even in the dark. If an owl shows up in your life a lot, it might be a call to trust your own inner wisdom, to pay attention to your intuition, and to seek out deeper knowledge.
Yeah. It's like those moments when you get a gut feeling about something, but you're not quite sure if you should trust it.
Right, and that's the real challenge, isn't it? Learning to tell the difference between our fears and our genuine intuition. That's why it's so important to cultivate mindfulness, to actually practice tuning into that inner voice.
So how do we do that? What are some practical steps we can take to become more receptive to these messages from the universe?
It's definitely tricky sometimes,
Hmm.
especially in our world, our busy world. There's so many distractions. It's hard to just like quiet the noise, and really tap into that intuition. So what are some things we can do to actually do that? Well, mindfulness is a really powerful tool, and you don't have to, become some kind of meditation guru to benefit from it. Just taking like even 5 minutes a day to sit quietly, to focus on your breath and just observe your thoughts and your feelings, that can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So it's about creating space to just be present.
Exactly. And it's in those moments of stillness that we can start to hear those whispers of our intuition. The source also suggests keeping a signs journal, which I think is a brilliant idea. It's like, becoming a detective of your own spiritual journey.
Ooh, a signs journal. Okay.
And
What would that look like?
it can be super simple. You just jot down any synchronicities or repeating numbers, intuitive nudges that you experience throughout the day. You might be surprised by the patterns that emerge.
Yeah, I bet. I can see how that would be, especially if you're feeling a bit lost or unsure.
Yeah.
Speaking of feeling lost, I'm curious. Have you ever had one of those undeniable signs from the universe yourself?
I have. It's funny because at the time I was kind of a skeptic, to be honest. I was going through a pretty big career change, moving to a new city and just feeling really, really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, if this whole universe talking to us thing is real now, would be a good time for a sign.
Oh, I feel that.
Yeah.
Big changes, even when they're good, can be so unsettling.
Yeah.
What happened? Did you get your sign?
So I'm walking down the street just totally lost in thought, and then I see this huge mural painted on the side of a building.
Okay. I'm on the edge of my seat. What was it a mural of?
It was a giant compass, and the needle was pointing very clearly in one direction.
Oh, wow.
It sounds kind of crazy now, but at the time it felt like a bolt of lightning. It was just so blatant. This symbol of guidance, I couldn't ignore it.
Wow. That's incredible. It's like the universe is like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I hear you, and here's a little push, a little nudge in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't like magically solve all my problems, but it did give me a sense of comfort and reassurance, like a reminder that even though I felt lost, I wasn't alone and that there was a path forward, even if I couldn't see the whole thing yet.
Yeah. It's like those signs are little winks from the universe, just to let us know
It's
we're on the right track. But I imagine it's not always so clear cut. What happens if you get a sign but you're not sure what it means?
Right. That's where that discernment comes in again. I think it's important to remember that these signs aren't meant to dictate our lives,
Yeah.
to make decisions for us. They're more like those gentle nudges,
Hmm.
invitations to pay attention, to look within and to trust our own inner guidance.
So it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
It's not about just blindly following every sign. It's more about integrating those insights with your own intuition and critical thinking.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like the universe speaks in absolutes. It's more like a conversation,
Mhm.
back and forth between you and the cosmos. You're not just passively receiving these messages. You're actively engaging, questioning, interpreting.
Right. And it sounds like it's important to be open to those messages in all sorts of ways. I mean, the source mentions it could be a song lyric, a passage in a book, even a conversation that you overhear.
Oh, absolutely. The universe can be really creative with how it communicates with us. It's almost like a playful scavenger hunt for meaning. We can find guidance in the most unexpected places as long as we're willing to look for it.
Hmm. That's a good point. Okay, so what would you say to someone listening who's maybe feeling a little skeptical, like, okay, this sounds interesting, but how do I know if it's really the universe or just my imagination?
I think a healthy dose of skepticism is always good. It's good to, question things and to not just blindly accept everything that you see or hear. But I'd also say be open to the possibility that there might be more to life than meets the eye.
Right. It's like that saying, if you don't believe in magic, you'll never find it.
Exactly. If we close ourselves off to the possibility of something greater, we might miss out on all the beauty and wonder that the universe has to offer. Even if you're not sure about this whole universe sending messages thing, just the act of paying attention,
Yeah.
being more mindful, looking for those synchronicities. I mean, that can have a really profound impact on your life.
Right. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
If you start looking for the positive, for the meaningful,
Yeah.
you're more likely to find it.
And that shift in perspective can be really, really powerful. When we see the world as a place that's full of magic and possibility, it opens us up to new experiences, new connections, and a much deeper sense of purpose.
Yeah. It sounds like it's not just about deciphering these cryptic messages from the cosmos. It's about cultivating a richer, more fulfilling way of being in the world.
Yeah. I love that. It's about remembering that we're not just these passive observers in this grand cosmic play, but that we're active participants, co-creators of our own reality, and that can be incredibly empowering and inspiring.
I love that. So we've covered a lot of ground here: the language of the universe, the common signs, how to be more receptive. For someone who's just starting to explore this idea of the universe communicating, what's the most important thing to keep in mind?
Hmm. I would say trust yourself. Trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, and trust that you are guided and supported, even when you don't have all the answers.
Yeah, it's that leap of faith. It's that willingness to believe that there's something bigger at play, even when we can't see it or fully understand it.
And that's where the real magic begins. When we surrender to that sense of trust, we open ourselves to a world of infinite possibilities. It's like we're all on this incredible adventure, and the universe is constantly leaving us clues and hints along the way.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're all part of this big cosmic adventure, and the universe is like our guide.
Yeah. And the more we pay attention to those clues, the more exciting and meaningful that journey becomes.
Totally, totally. So as we wrap up our deep dive into how the universe communicates, I want to leave our listeners with a little challenge, something to think about, as you go about your day to day.
Ooh, I like this. A little cosmic homework assignment.
Exactly. So now that you're a little more aware of this language of the universe, the signs and the synchronicities, what message might the universe be sending you right now? What's it whispering to you today?
Yeah, maybe it's that song that just came on the radio that perfectly captures how you're feeling. Or maybe it's a chance encounter with someone who just, said the right thing at the right time.
Right.
Or maybe it's just a feeling deep down, a nudge, an intuition that's been kind of guiding you towards something new and exciting.
The key is to pay attention, to be open, to trust that inner voice.
Because the universe is always, always speaking. It's up to us to listen.
And to remember that this is really just the beginning of the conversation.
The more we engage with the universe, the more we open ourselves to its wisdom and guidance, and the more magical and fulfilling our lives can become.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep trusting, and most importantly, keep listening.
The universe has some incredible things in store for all of you.